Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me. I am still T Mosso at thewatchbox.com. It's still in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any of our platforms. Please reach out to me directly. I am T Mosso at thewatchbox.com for pricing. Today we're discussing a sports watch with multiple functions launched back in 2007 in a combination of titanium and stainless steel. This is the Jaeger-LeCoultre Master Compressor Extreme World Alarm. It is large at 46.3 millimeters in diameter, 16.1 millimeters thick from lug to lug tip, 54.8 millimeters with a 22 millimeter spacing between the lugs. This watch is a Worldtimer. It is an alarm, so in JLC speak, it's a Memovox. It's also 100 meters water resistant and said to be so shock resistant that it could withstand golf, firearms, or tennis on the wrist. This is a timepiece that is large. Although I owned this exact model and wore it happily for many years, I do believe that from the perspective of my 39-year-old self versus the 26-year-old who bought it, this is probably too big for me. So you can see that the watch's lugs do push out right out to the edge and over the top of my wrist. And you can see in down the barrel shots that those lugs are also perhaps out just a little too far. It's also not a thin watch, and a tight cuff is likely to get hung up on the adjuster for the world time and the activation or arming cock for the alarm. But it is an impressive looking thing. Taking a quick look at the strap, JLC was big into double-stitched straps in the 2000s, and it gives it a really rugged, massive, imposing look. We have a hugely thick-cut alligator leather strap, large rectangular scale alligator leather in a matte finish with the contrasting stitch. You can see the sheer cut sides showing the layers. We have calfskin on the bottom, brand new strap, no crimping, no gouging. Now this is a 22 millimeter lug size, and here's the thing, JLC was brilliant. Not only were they ahead of the curve with the quick release lug system, but because it withdraws the lugs and leaves the strap conventional, the mechanism is built into the watch and still accommodates any conventional 22 millimeter strap. So if you want to do that, it's a very simple thing to get an aftermarket or custom strap if you don't want to use an OEM example. This is a very easy watch to swap out because of that quick release system, which is universal for any 22 millimeter strap. Now taking a quick look at the buckle, you can see double folding, friction fit, polished stainless steel, JLC branded inside and out. It has a little curved undercarriage to match the curve of the underside of your wrist. The watch includes two cases, an inner case that sits on shock absorbers. That inner case, which you can see has been satin finished, that's made of grade 5 titanium. The outer case for durability is made of steel. Because the two cases are separate and they're actually separated by shock absorbers that suspend the inner case, this is a very shock-resistant watch. We also have the compressor crowns, and I know you're dying to hear what this alarm is like. It has a free-hanging gong inside the case, so it'll really resonate with tremendous sustain and alarm. You can hear the volume. You can turn it on, you can turn it off. It is definitely loud enough to wake you up, which is always the go, no-go factor for me when I'm looking at alarm watches. Can it act as my alarm clock? Now, we've got other features here. We have the compressor crown system, which was introduced in 2002, and so you simply turn it, and just like this, we now have 100 meter water resistance. So these little winglets, white you're tight, red you're dead, very simple. Hard to mistake that is an unlocked crown. The other thing, too, is that they're easy to manipulate when your hands might be wet, sweaty, or gloved, so you'll have no trouble locking and unlocking and setting. The other thing, too, is because they merely compress and then decompress, the seals for the crowns, they don't thread through them. Threaded stems can wear down crown seals. That's not a problem with this system. If you look carefully, you can see that the crown up at 2 o'clock is used for setting the date as well as the alarm. This caliber, 912, has a quick set for the date indicator, which you will note is actually vertically arrayed on the dial. And then if you turn in the opposite direction, there is a digital setting scale that allows you to set the alarm quite precisely to a resolution of about 5 minutes. And you can see it has two scales that move concentrically but at different speeds. And then there's that little red highlight bar that helps you to line up the correct time. The numerals as well as the indices are metallic appliques. The dial is a lovely gloss black. We have a world time system. This is the world time system created by Louis Coutier back in the 1930s. So we have a counterclockwise rotating 24-hour reference ring, two semicircles, one in red for the nighttime hours, approximately, one in white for the daytime hours, approximately. We have an anodized red crown that allows you to set your local time. So the city where you're in now goes at the bottom. See how it says local time? So let's say I want to go to New York, because I'm in Philadelphia. So U.S. East Coast time, New York time is where I am. Now I can set the watch, and you can see how the hands move in a clockwise direction, and the reference ring moves in a counterclockwise direction. Now I've lined this up. You can see where I am, New York. It is exactly 12. You can see how it says 12, and we know it's 12 noon, because this is the 12 in the little white semicircle. And then you could read the time anywhere else. So you could see in Noumea, it's 4 a.m. You could see that in the Azores, it's actually 4 p.m., and it's very easy because the two are always opposed. 6 a.m. in Samoa is 6 p.m. in Paris, and you can just read the whole dial like that. You read the minutes at the center. So it's a world timer and a very precise, sonorous alarm. Let's take a quick look at how it looks when it is loomed. As you can see, quite a bit of lume with the exception of that gap over at 9 o'clock. We do have a loomed seconds hand, so you know in the dark that it's running. Inside, we have JLC manufacturer caliber 912, which is based on the 856 automatic alarm family, so unidirectional winding with ceramic rotor bearings, the two features for efficiency. It has a 45-hour power reserve, pivots on 23 joules. It has a 4 hertz or 8 beat per second rate, and it is free sprung for shock resistance and precision of adjustment. It also endures the Master 1000 hour control, which is a test of chronometry in 6 positions of the fully assembled watch compared to 5 positions of the bare movement for the COSC. But it goes further. It tests winding efficiency, power reserve, shock resistance, water resistance, and yes, it is still a chronometry test. So the Master 1000 hours control over 40 days, going far beyond the 2-week scope of the COSC. So one of the first in-house tests to really go beyond what the COSC and the ISO 3159 dictated. There's a lot to love with this watch, a timepiece that is simply packed with value and technically a lot more interesting than extreme sports watches from, for example, Richard Mille and Audemars Piguet. And JLC being a high horology brand and the quintessential manufacturer, they're building the whole watch right down to its spectacular shock-resistant case. If you love this watch, reach out to me. I am T. Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.